Welcome back to the Get Set podcast, an old girls entertainment production where neoteric meets nostalgia. We're a podcast demystifying the idea of an overnight success while highlighting the array of diverse jobs within the industry with a focus on women in the TV and film space. Today, it's your co-host here, myself, Monique Schwaneman, and
Jessica Payne. And today on the pod, we have our first returning guest of season 5, RICHELLE TAYLOR.
Woo!
RICHELLE, yes. RICHELLE was on season 2, episode 14. So it's been a little bit of time since we last chatted with her. The last time she came on to tell us all things about script supervising. So head over to that episode if you want to learn more about script supervising. But today, we have exciting news because at the time she was kind of hitting a wall in her career a little bit, trying to pivot into directing for television. And it was like filled with ups, downs, pauses, and dead ends. And now she's on the pod today because officially she has directed her first television episode. And she is here to tell us all things about what she learned, the process of directing for TV, all of it. I'm so excited. And it's just very exciting. Very cool. It's only been a year and a half. And she's back, fulfilling her dreams. So cool.
It is very cool, I have to say, objectively speaking. It is very cool to transition into that next, phase. And thanks for having me. You guys are
100%
so cool to come back and just talk about the experience. I can't get all of the tea, unfortunately. But
we're getting it's the process of it. All the good stuff, everything. Mo, what is it that she directed?
Congratulations, RICHELLE. You can catch her episode of the new show Boston Blue, a spinoff of Blue Bloods on CBS. It's also streaming on Paramount Plus. She directed episode 13, Beautiful Broken Things, which premiered on April 3rd, just last month. So welcome back to the pod, RICHELLE.
Thank you. It was really an amazing experience. We can get just the start of it. Like, where do we even start? How do we even start? I think the nexus of it, of course, is like, I love the way that your podcast starts about talking about there's like no such thing as an overnight success. People are like, oh yeah, they existed and then they didn't. Well, I mean, they've existed for a while. You just didn't know. We've been, like, all the three of us have been in this industry for combined how many years? So we've
hundreds,
been here,
probably.
Yeah, we've been here for a minute. And so our next success, the only reason it's become an overnight success is because you've put in the hours, put in the work and the training that needs it to be. That's why it's a success. You didn't, flop it. You had training. So I'm a very big proponent on that. You do your hours, you do your time, but also part of it is, number 13 is so, it's now lucky number 13, right? It's like, it's so, even the title of it, The Beautiful Broken Things, it was just such a landmark, kind of like a life theme, this episode. And the way that it started is just, it's one of those things that I'm not going to say that I didn't do anything to deserve it. Like I said, we've worked hard, but
100%.
But I definitely know that I felt like I was placed in very specific circles that led me into this position. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And
just
I think, go ahead.
Well, just to recap a little bit, in case people haven't heard your episode or heard it a while ago on our podcast, you were a script supervisor for well over 15 years in the industry. And you were working hard, got into the union, did all the things. And we worked on a show, you and I worked on a show for over 2 years, 2 seasons. And with those producers got in, and you had worked with them even longer, prior to us working together, and you built up a great rapport, and they believed in you. And so, and as a script supervisor, but then moving into your future, of your career. And so, because of that rapport, that's what
Right.
how they ended up bringing you along onto the next things.
And that's all of our jobs. It's really about that like, are you working hard? You have a good rapport with people. That's why you keep bringing you back for productions.
Just tell by the way you spoke about script supervising, because that podcast episode we recorded was my first time meeting you. And I was just, enamored with you. And of course, like, you're a wonderful human being, but you're so diligent with your work. You're so specific. You're also, we talked about this, an incredibly kind, fun human being, which is someone you want to be around with on set. People can trust you in a pinch. They can trust you to be consistent, to great at your job, but then also just to be a great human to work with. And so that's why you were getting placed in those circles, especially when you told people that directing was your path.
Yeah, I'm grateful for that. And I'm also grateful for the people who saw that was my trajectory. Like my husband and there was a director, I'll tell you more about it, but that sometimes you need people in your circles to go, you should really do this, because I see you going in this path, but you don't see it in yourself yet. And my husband was always like that person who was like, listen, you're going to be a director one day. I was like, pfft. In fact, my very first television show, they interviewed me. I had 0 television credit, right? I got this. And again, what I love about this crazy business of ours is everybody has a faith story, which is, I almost quit, but I almost did this, but then this happened, and now I'm doing this. So I had no clue how to do television. My then boyfriend's now husband, I don't know how I told you how I got into script supervising. It was because of him. He's now a showrunner and all that stuff. But he had a new TV show, was looking for a scriptie. I'm like, oh, who's a scriptie that you know? Oh, Richelle Taylor? All right, let's put her name in the hat. She's never done television. All right, let's call her in for an interview. Literally, one of the questions they asked me was, have you ever directed before? And I was like, oh no. Directing is for the brave and courageous. I'm like, I'm not there yet. I'm like, they had a reason why they were asking that question. But I remember looking back at where I am now, looking back at that answer. And it's like, it's because you don't see yourself doing that. And now, like, 16, 17 years down the line, I'm like, oh, actually,
you've done it.
They've done it. Yeah, it's a perfect transition to the next. You know what I mean?
I will say, I do want to point out a little bit in that the reason you have people who do believe in you is because you've put time, energy, and love into what you do and who you are, and building the community around you. Because I think that's the biggest thing. If you don't have a strong community around you who really care and believe in you, then no one's going to be actually giving you, those.
That's true.
Those praises. So, that's going back to the time and effort and investment put in, not only to your career and yourself, but the people around you. And, a lot of that is going to be not just, a tit for tat sort of thing, but just really putting in the effort to, care for the people around you. Because if you care for people, then they care for you. That's typically how it works. I mean, and again, it's not, we don't want to look at it as tit for tat, but that truly is what it is. Like,
I mean why not? It's like the great rule of like, do unto others, if you want them to, do unto others what you would have them do for you. And it's so wonderful how I always say my career has been crafted, because yes, I worked hard, yes, and all that, but still there was that special element where there's doors that open in your path that you didn't expect. Like, and those are that's the magic of being in very community-based business like ours. Ours is really, truly a community-based, like the same crews, as you know, the same crews work together. I just got done script supervisor before I started directing. My last show was All American season 8, on the Warner Brothers lot. We have an air date, I think it's July of this year. And
the final season, right?
The final season. And that crew, some of them did the pilot. Like, they stayed on for 10 years. Like, one of the DPs was like, I was single when I joined this crew, and now I have a 4-year-old. Like, what? It's like, So it is something beautiful about, like, yes, you work hard, but then something magical happens where you find yourself in this beautiful, unique situation where you do great work, you enjoy each other. I mean, there's nothing better than going to work. You're like, I get to be with my buddies, my friends, and I know it's gonna be tough. Our hours are tough, but if I'm here with my buddies, I know I'm going to be able to do it. You know what I'm saying? So there's something beautiful about that too, where it's like, there's an element of chance that you find yourself, and it's exciting and it's beautiful. But there is that magic where you're like, if I didn't do this project, I would not have gone to this project, and this project is where I did this. And I can literally trace where that happened for me, and then the magic of their remembrance of me. It's just amazing. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the process that, you know, it took into getting this episode. Obviously, I know, you know, you've been with these producers for a while, and they've kept you in mind, but say, you know, now that you got that call, you got the call that you're getting this episode, it's going to be this episode. Here's a script. Like, what's the first thing, like, once you have the contract signed and get going, like, what does that look like? What's the first steps of diving in?
So first, because this was my first episode, the first thing you get is you freak out a little bit because, I mean, it's a network TV show. Like,
yes,
like an episode
major in the network.
Yeah, like they shoot like millions, you know what I mean, per episode. You know what I'm saying? So, and the way that, okay, I gotta tell you how I got this text.
Yes.
Okay? I heard a rumor from my, you know, producers that, you know, they're interested, you know, we want to support you in that, you know, all that stuff. Send me a bio. This all started from one of my producers going, send me a bio. And I was like, of what? And they're like, whatever, anything you've done, include in there, anything you've directed. And in my mind, do auditions count? Like, I'm like, okay, I'll send them a bio. It's like anything that you've directed. And I'm like, so they're asking for a director's bio from a person who's not a director. All right. So between me and my husband, we crafted this, like, not a director yet bio, which talked about, you know, I've learned to, my viewpoint, my perspective on directing is directly informed by how many directors I've sat under and how many episodes I've done as a script supervisor, right? So I get this call for a bio. They got that. Then we finally get him the bio. They don't say anything. And then 2 months later, one of my girlfriends, who's a writer, texted me and said, oh my gosh, I just had coffee with my writing team friends and I heard that you're directing the episode. And I was like, wait, oh, what?
What?
Yeah. And then I was like, okay, what? And I mean, I can show you the text, my face. It was like, and they're like, you don't know anything about this? I mean, I said, yeah, but you know, in our business, they're always like, yeah, you're going to direct one day. You know what I mean? Like, nothing is confirmed until I see that piece of paper. And even then, until I show up on set, it's still not real. You know what I'm
saying? Yes.
So I'm like, yeah, I mean, we mentioned it, we said about it, we worked towards it, but nothing like concrete, like you're going to direct an episode of Boss. Nothing like that. So she's like, you don't know? I'm like, no. She's like, well, what a way to find out. I was like, what a way to find out. And I was so floored by that. And then they finally, I think the writers, I don't know how that happened, but anyway, they finally got back to me and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, yeah, you're directing episode. It was 12 and now I'm directing episode 13. And that's how I found out, by, like, you know, by proxy. Like, look, I sent her
I
this
feel like
ticket.
that's almost like the classic, like,
when I heard that, I literally shot this picture of my eyes wide open and I'm like, this is my face right now. Anyway, sorry.
I feel like that's the classic. No, I feel like that's the classic. Like, you hear about celebrities being like, oh, I didn't know I got this big role until the news came
Everyone
out.
Else was cast. Yeah. They told me.
That's exactly how it felt. And I was like, okay. And so that producer who asked me to bio, she's like, hey, just to confirm. And I was like, just to confirm. I'm like, she's like, yeah, you're going to be on, that's how they confirmed that. It's like, literally my friend told me, and then the producers told me. And I was like, I don't know. Thank you. I didn't have any confirmation. I thought it was like, I don't know, next year. Oh, in this business, it can be tomorrow or 10 years from now. I don't know.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, that's how I found out. And then I got the episode and I read the episode. Of course, I cried because my name's on it, at the front of the page, no less. I met with the writers, and the writers and I clicked like this. It was, and I was just so honored. They were a husband and wife duo. The Mosses wrote episode 13, Beautiful Broken Things. And that was their first episode of television on air. And it was my first episode of television on air. So we were, I'm telling you, it's like, it will like this magic is the way, I can't explain it. I can't describe it. It's like this beautiful thing that just like literally it fell into place. And so you get the letter, you get the confirmation, you start prepping, which is consume as much as you can, right? This is a first episode show. How are they shooting the show? What do they like in a show? And also, these are my producers that I've worked with a long time, so I know the language of how they like to shoot a show. They like shoot fast. They want shoot action. They want really deep, emotional beats.
My question, real quick, is so with that research, basically, because that is what it is it's research in terms of producers and all of that. Because I was with this being basically a new show. How much of it did you feel was new versus old? Because it is a spinoff. It does live in like the well-established franchise of Blue Bloods.
Right.
So, how much? What did you feel like? Did you feel like it was let me consume Blue Bloods as much as possible and figure out the producer side of things, or in terms of like the style of the show, or did you feel like there was, I don't know, room or for interpretation of, I don't know, because it is established, right? So while it's a new season, it's not necessarily
correct.
Like,
and that's a really good observation, because it is new, but not. It has an established fan base with really beloved characters, really beloved. So, and the characters, like I got a chance to work with Donnie Wahlberg and Len Carew, and they played their characters longer than I've been in this business. They started Blue Bloods like how many years ago, right? So there's an element of like, you're coming in, you want to put your name on it, but also acknowledging the fact you're putting your name on a paper that is very specific format.
Same font. Same font as everything else.
Correct. Yeah. So you're not, from what I learned about directing, my very first episode of television, but the best interpretation of that job is that I am the facilitator. It's different directing is different in different modes, as is script supervising, as is acting in different. If you're acting in a commercial, it's different than if you're acting in a feature. There are moments that you can craft that are deeper, longer, more honed in a feature than if you're doing a 30-second commercial that you're on the spot trying to give options to the clients and the directors. There's just different modes. So it's very important to be well versed in those modes, which I am because I've done commercials, all that stuff. And as a television script supervisor, my role is different if I was doing commercials and when I do features. It's just my role is different. So as a director is the same thing. And so as a director, I was facilitating. Now I'm a guest director. Then that's number one. I'm coming into somebody's house. That house is built. And not only is it built, this was built on the foundations of Blue Bloods, which is so beloved. That ran for 14 seasons. So what I did is, I can't watch all 14 seasons because I have a 2-year-old. And also I was working. I was literally script supervising when I got this call. And so what I did was every chance that I got, I covered first season. By the way, first season was just, this show was genius. That's why it's ran for 14 seasons, okay? But it was also a different era in television, and we'll get that later. But yeah, so it's very much so. I consumed as much of the past as I can. And then I asked for all the scripts. I read as much as they wanted to give me. Then I asked for
all the scripts of
all
Blue
the
Bloods
scripts
or of
no, of Boston Blue.
Okay, yeah.
They don't. The Blue Bloods is
Yeah.
I think I don't have access to that. Maybe, I don't know. But I watch as much Blue Bloods as I can just to know that, especially specifically the characters.
The style.
The cut. And specifically really for the characters. The style changed. Blue Bloods changed.
True.
Their style a little bit from 1 to 14, of course. There's been many hands of different changes. So, and then you watch that, you get established of the characters and who they were. Then you get to Boston Blue, and I was like, okay, send me as many scripts as you can preceding all the scripts that's preceding my episode, and then as many episodes as cuts. And the producers and they sent me their favorite cuts, the ones that they really loved, and I was like, okay,
that's smart.
So I got a little flavor of that. One of the episodes were directed by the producing director, so he has the language of the show that way. So I research, you train, right? You come with a certain preparedness, and then literally you come onto set as prepared as you can, like any job, and then you just be flexible.
Yeah.
Because things change,
yes.
Right? So it's an awareness, it's a combination of course, your training, because you can only throw it away so much if you have the confidence, right? It's like because you train, because I know I train. I know I can do this job because I've been on set for I don't know how many years. Even from that element of being aware of set etiquette and set presence and set, cultures, because the culture, each set has a different culture, right? And I shot in Toronto. They're different from LA crews. They're different from New York crews or Boston crews, right? It's just different. West Coast, Best Coast, but that's what I'm saying. That's the point. So you get all that, and then you prep, and then you try to put your spice to it, but it's the same. It's not the same dish that comes out, of course, if you change the spices on it, but you're serving it in the same restaurant, so you can't. You know what I'm saying? You can't go to a Thai restaurant and expect that they're going to give you chicken tikka masala. I mean, it's just going to be different. You know what I'm saying? They can put their spin on it, right? I can go to a Filipino restaurant and be like, look, give me Korean barbecue. Like, no, what? Filipino barbecue? We have Filipino barbecue. But so you can do it your own, but it's just the format is the format. You got 42 minutes to tell your story. You got limitations of budget. You got limitations of actors too, because you are a guest and they know their characters. They've been playing their characters for 12 episodes before you got there. So know your characters, but also acknowledge that they know something you don't. Right? And so all of that is finessed in being on set a long time.
Yeah.
And knowing how to read these things and working with actors and working with writers and directors. And so all of that preparation, it's all of my training boiling into one. I always said that unlike being a script supervisor, because as a script supervisor, I know the whole show, every episode, right? I will know every single story. But as a director, I know one story, and I know that story like the back of my hand. So you put all of your focus into that one episode. And it was like so fun. It is the most wildly, I said, if you even have a little bit of creative bone in your body, let's just say, maybe I'm creative. I'm like, if you're even a little bit creative, you should try your hand at directing, because it is it is such an intensely creative profession. Like everything is, as you know, Jess, every decision is yours. Like sometimes I'll be in the middle of a take and they're like asking me about costumes. Do you want blue or a pink sweater? And I'm like, can somebody please choose a sweater for this guest star? And like, no, that somebody is you. Like you got to choose the sweater, and you can't choose a blue sweater because the other character is already pink wearing blue. So it's like everything is on you. So it is like your brain is like on overdrive. But again, because of your training, you're able to like kind of knead the pieces, and you have a team around you that'll help you do this. And it's not without saying is being humble and being open to suggestions and being able to collaborate with all of those departments that are waiting for your answer.
Yes. And let's talk about the collaboration a little bit in terms of, so in prep, you go in and you prep.
Yes.
How collaborative was, like, you know, at that point, where were the departments? Like, what departments in prep are you collaborating with, right? Because obviously you're prepping for the day of shoot, and then the shoot itself is going to be collaborative, and then there's post that's going to be collaborative, because each person, you know, there's, you know, hundreds of jobs that are there along the way. So in prep, what are the decisions that you're making? What are the meetings that you guys are having in terms of, like, just talking with the showrunner? What are the emotional points you have to hit in this episode? Because like you said, right, you have an episode that, you know, like the back of your hand. However, maybe there's this only one tiny line in this episode that feels kind of like a throwaway line, but it's going to come up later in the season that needs, but you wouldn't know it unless the showrunner tells you. So what are those meetings like what is it that you guys are doing in the prep before shooting happens?
So this was an 8-day episode. I got 7 days of prep. Mm-hmm. I got to Toronto 10 days before. So instead of 7 days, I got there 3 days before prep. Mm-hmm. I got into the office. I got into office day 0 of prep, basically. I just, you know, I was in ROTC when I was in high school, and my first sergeant always said, when you forget everything else, you will remember your training because you prepare, right? Mm-hmm. So as much prep as we can possible, right? So I got there early. I got all this stuff. I also met with the showrunner before I flew to Toronto. I got to talk to the showrunners and see what their expectations are. I met the writers, and the writers gave me their perspective, all that stuff. So get as much undergirding, you know, support, information, glean everything that you can before you even get boots on the ground, right? Then I go to Toronto. If you're a visual person, the first time that you read the script, you kind of have an idea of how you want to shoot it. Basic idea. Maybe style, maybe chosen based on the words, maybe chosen based on the setting. But whatever that visual representation that you have in your head, keep that. That's good. Because then you have a basic structure of the house, right? So I went there. I have a basic structure. I have very basic brush strokes, right? But you get there and you're literally all day nothing but meetings. Nothing but meetings from 9 till the end of prep day 6. I don't know, 5, 6 or 7. You break for lunch. But you and your first AD and your DP are always together. You text, you call, whatever. You have any questions. You had a lovely team in Toronto. There are certain meetings that come up, and they have a formula on those 7 days on what covers what, right? So the first one will be something like casting, or like, to tell you the truth, I don't know, I don't remember, but casting is one of the top ones, and then locations,
and those are like, for guest stars, because, you know, the main cast is already booked and billed, right?
They're done, right? Mm-hmm. And casting actually is, for me, I have to say, that was one of the hardest ones, because I love actors and I've worked with actors, and it's like, how do you say no to an actor, you know, and they're so good? And
that's especially close to your heart, as your husband is an actor.
I know.
You're like, I've
surrounded by actors. So actors. So casting, you go through like a meeting, like, okay, like a pre-stage walkthrough. So I was there day 0, so I had some extra time. We walked all the stages. I took all my videos and my, you know, text, and I was like, okay, come up with extra ideas. So you're little by little, you're furnishing, you know, you're choosing the siding, you're choosing the paint color of this house, right? And then you get into more meetings, like, okay, the script we have a script run through. The first AD goes through a run through. Okay, this is what it is. And the first AD, you rely on that first AD, because that's why they're assistant directors. They look at all of the details, and they know from a production standpoint what is needed. So whereas you can focus on the creative part, he's going to go, okay, so this day is going to be really tight, because I'm going to he's already had a schedule. as he's already read, that's how he is the production, the manager of that episode. So he's the one who's already telling you, you got 8 days and this is going to be tough for me here because there's 3 moves. And then from those 7 days, you know, locations fall through, you go through location scouts. That's really fun because you get to walk around with your friends and be like, oh, that's cool. Oh, what if we shoot it over here? But that's also limited because everybody's looking at the timeline, right? You know, it's not like you're just walking around the city just cuz, right? I like this. They want answers right away. That's why you, in your mind, in my mind, and this is something that I'm actually educating myself for the next one, because of course the first time, it's like, how do you articulate that first time, right? There are things that I would have done better just because it wouldn't be my first time again. And I knew that there was first time user error. It was my first time using this machine, so I'm going to make mistakes. And coming into it humbly and accepting that people are going to come and, you know, help me do this thing. That's really important. So knowing kind of how you're going to shoot it is so important. Not saying shot list everything, but know how you want it to look like, because they want answers on day one. The minute you sit in that boardroom, they're like, okay, so this is the thing, and I'm sitting over here, and I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking about this, and every department has their own focus. And you're just there like, oh, you're thinking about that? Okay, I don't like that idea, but we're going to give me another idea. You know, so you're literally managing, and this is where I think as a script supervisor, my training came into focus, because as a script supervisor, I'm overall managing the continuity of set, but every department is watching their own thing. Hey, Richelle, did you notice that the tie went into his shirt instead of outside his shirt? And I'm like, bro, I didn't even notice because that actor didn't know how to say his line. So it's reality. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch it the next take. Let me tell the director that he can cut from here to here. Maybe they won't miss the tie. So like literally you're coming up on the spot how to justify the cut. So it's the same thing with directing, where every department is looking at their thing. Here's the hair meeting. Okay, hair meeting was, okay, everybody's using this, you know, this type, and I think they're going to do this. Okay, hair meeting was fine. Makeup, there was a blood thing, a special effects blood thing. But other than that, that was fine. Then we had a transpo meeting. It's like they're so excited. They're like, ooh, I'm thinking about this script. Okay, in the script, there's this like really sexy car, and I had a friend who had this. I mean, it was like the cutest, like just these guys who were just so excited about this car. And I was like, do you like that car? Because I love that car. I mean, let's just choose the car that you like.
Funny, because I totally forgot. Like, if there's picture cars in it, you have to have a transpo meeting. I'm like, when you said transpo, I was like, oh, like how we're getting people to places. I'm like, I guess, but
there's cars. And then,
I forgot. That's so funny.
Yeah, there was a specialty car that, you know, a part of the story was that a bullet lodges on the top of the car, and like, well, we can't lodge a bullet. And I was like, oh, don't worry, we'll just use it, like, you know, we'll just paint it, whatever, you know, paint a little like a sticker, like a bullet hole sticker, whatever it is. She's like, yeah, because that's a really expensive whatever car. I have no idea what car it is, but he was so excited about this car. And I was like, do you love it? I asked my showrunner, I was like, do you love it? He's like, I love it. He's like, I really love it. I was like, all right, well, one then. You just choose something that people are excited about, and they're gonna do a good job. You know what I mean? That's the thing too. Like our production designer, who was wonderful, she was like, this is what I'm thinking about for the yoga studio. I'm like, great, you like this? I love it. I mean, she's been on this show. You know what I mean? She's like, okay. And then she did the research. She's like, I don't see too much brick. But, you know, this is based on Boston. We're shooting in Toronto. And I love brick. And she's like, actually in Boston, they have this kind of like brick. It's not really this exact. And I'm like, I just thought East Coast means brick. I don't know. I'm from California. And she's like, no, it's a different I don't know. And she's like, no, it's actually a different type of brick. And I was like, okay, then which one do you like of these houses? That one, I think like that one looks nicer for the character. I'm like, great. You know, there's just certain things, you know. She's like, we were shooting in a yoga studio. Can we make this work? She's like, I can't make this one work, but I can make that work. Okay, great. Let's shoot at that location that you can make work. Sometimes it's that. Those are the decisions. It's like,
that's so important to know too, because as much research as you're doing as the director, every other player has done their research too. So like you
100%.
said, you got to tap into those people who are, these are the subject matter experts. I mean, you have to have an opinion. You're the director. That's why they hired you, but to pull everything together. But these people are the subject matter experts in their field.
Correct.
And so
they are all
to trust them.
Correct. They are all part of building the house. The siding people are going to care about the siding. The door people are going to care about the doors. The window people are going to care about the windows. The paint people are going to work about the paint. So it's like everybody has their own specialty. I'm not going to go to a cardiologist about my feet. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I mean, I can maybe. I mean, I'm sure they're all connected because they're part of the same body. It's the same house.
At some point.
Correct. And
something.
It's all the part of the same house, but everybody has a specialty and everybody cares about what, and that's good if you have like, well, I don't think, okay, listen to them. When they're like, oh, okay, I don't think this, okay, tell me why. And then but at the basis level of it is very important to for me, again, being on set for a long time, is knowing that as a guest director, you are a guest. You are you are a respected guest in their house. Or not sometimes. Sorry, we've been on those sets, Jess, where we're like, that director can probably not come back and we will be very happy, you know? And you don't want to be that person, but you have to understand that you're there as a guest. You're a guest. This house has already existed. You're coming in. You're doing final zhuzhing. You're redecorating the house. You're not changing the layout of the house. That's important to know because these craftsmen, these artisans have come and they've put their stamp on it. This is the layout of the house. This is how they're going to do it. This is how they're going to do it. So the sets are built, whatever sets are built. If there's a swing set that needs to be built, okay, you have some input on that. But, you know, it's also constrained to that swing set unless it's it's in the script where they have to be a giant house, whatever. You have to stay within the script. And also, I have to say, I had the best time as a first-time director because my big boss was upset. The showrunners. My showrunners is a duo. Hi, Brandons. I love you very much. Hire me again. The Brandons are this showrunner duo that I met 2016. 2016?
10 years ago.
No, 2017. 2017. We first
9
met.
years ago. Wow.
And we did this show called LA's Finest. And at first that show was a CBS pilot that turned into like a Spectrum original series when everybody was trying to do their original series thing. Spectrum, the cable company, said we're going to do an original series and take LA's Finest. And it was a spin-off of the movie Bad Boys. So it's the Bad Boys. Right. It was really cool. Jessica Alba was in it and Gabrielle Union. The Brandons are just, I mean, they're amazing. I can't say enough about them. But what I have to say, it was the best time because if there was something that I was, first of all, they're amazing human beings. You want to just work with amazing people all the time, right? It makes you, it's like 10 times. So if if I had like a question, I'm like, I don't know which one to pick. I'd be like, he's like, I don't know, but if I were you, I would pick this one. I'm like, okay, sold. you know, and he really gave me the space to be myself, but also he's like, okay, listen, you might want to think about this. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's a good thing to think about. So because the big boss is there was like, one of the things that I can do is like relax a little bit and be like, I don't really like that. And you're like, well, go ahead and say it. Or when the boss says, I need an insert of this. And I'm like, I don't really want to shoot an insert. He's like, you better give me that insert. I'm like, okay, I'll shoot the insert. And I go shoot the insert. It's not in my mind, but the boss wants it. Come on.
Yeah.
So it's easier, like not until later when you're like, oh, I should have shot that insert. No, I listened. I was there. I was present. And he was there. And I knew that he had my back. And I knew that he knew I had his back. Because I cared about the story. And
another important thing, just again to point out in terms of with television especially, like, yes, you're saying that you're a guest in this place, but at the same time, too, beyond it being a guest, you do have bosses, right? Like you were saying, like the showrunner is
the boss.
Different from films, you know, where the director kind of has this like auteur, like authorship of a film. For television, it's really like, that's why it's called like the writers, you know, media is because the showrunners are the ones and the writers are the ones really running the ship and
crafting
and really crafting, yeah, exactly, crafting all of that. And the directors, again, they come in and they help, bring their
why I say
flair, but
you're right. That's why I
yeah, your
say the
bosses are
best.
showrunners.
Right, and the best. That's why I said that directors are really facilitators, because the really
Yes.
good facilitators will be able to manage all of these departments and hopefully produce one thing that's consistent to the show, right?
Yeah.
So you're a
Yeah.
guest, but you do have to have skill. I mean, yeah, you do have to have skill, and so
and that's part of the set etiquette too, right? Is knowing your place.
Yes.
In the ranking of everything.
In the ranking,
which, I mean, it's weird to feel, but like at the same, or
there
weird
is.
to say in terms of ranking, but
there is.
You have bosses.
Yes, and not only that, you also have to show deference to certain things. Like some there's actors that there are just certain things where you're just like, what note am I going to give this actor? That's not already something that they're doing, or not that something that will only just muddy the waters for their interpretation. Because unless their interpretation of what the character is doing, so number one, you know that they've been playing these characters for 12 episodes, so they know more than you, right? Hopefully, because that means they're dedicated to their craft, right? Mm-hmm. So because they're dedicated to their craft, they know what they want to do with that story. Now, unless that the course that they're taking as an actor's choice, that was my philosophy the whole time. It was like, first of all, I'm a guest. Second of all, the actors. I'm episode 13. I'm like towards the tail end. Like I'm in the right after the middle. So people have already been doing this. They're already a machine. So let me not be a freaking cog that doesn't need to be in the machine. Let's let the machine run. And unless there is something wrong with the machine, if it's not going the direction that my bosses want it to go, I'm not going to go just for my sake. You know what? Let's just try. We don't got time for that. We got freaking 12 hours to shoot, 8 pages. We got to keep the ball rolling. I got to keep this wrap time so that I can show up early tomorrow because I have a daytime scene. If I don't, now I can shoot more. I have an extra setup, but that affects tomorrow's work. So it's a lot of that, like, okay, how do I keep this machine going as long as it's going towards the showrunners want? I'm there for it. Now sometimes you want to add something because you feel in your heart like, you know what, they're not really landing that line, and I think it lands like this. Then I go in and give an adjustment. But most of the time it's like, Donnie Wahlberg has done the character Danny Reagan for longer than I have been alive in this industry. So, I mean, you know what I'm saying? As a director, coming in, especially a first-time director, what's I going to say? Like, hey, can you do that a little bit more Danny-ish? Like, what am I going to say? Like, what am I going to say to change? Now, unless the tone of it is different, or it's not achieving something that I specifically want that will pay off later, or the showrunner's like, look, I need this to be a little softer or whatever, more intense, because later on, 3 episodes from now, which I'm not a part of, I want this to pay off then. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll give the direction. But other than that, what are you giving Donnie? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think
it's, by the way,
it's
an
a really
amazing
good
human being. Anyway.
Really great. I think it's a good point to point out, in that you're managing everything, right? Yeah. All the different departments and all the people, and trying to, bring it to this one point. But also you're managing yourself to not screw yourself over in terms of timing. Because even if you can't get this one line, like what you think is like right, is that more important than potentially, not getting the shot later on that could be the shot? Like, is this a pivotal point that you have to have and have to get? So, sometimes it's just, you have to fight. It's a timing thing, right? It's like, not only is it fighting for the story, but also we don't have all the time in the world to do this. Like, we don't have time to sit here and work on this one scene for 10 hours, as much as we would like to. We've got to get it done in 2. So if it's not landing at some point, you can't, You
can't. And then and there's certain things that are just out of control. Like, listen, I finished all my days. I made all my days. I wrapped people early, and I was on budget. So
and
Right.
people were happy. So my bosses were happy, and I was happy with the product. And when I watched it, I was like, this is my show. This is a good representation of what we did, and what I liked. And there's certain things that you're going to give and take, and that's the thing, is the beauty of the being collaborative, is the give and take, right?
Yeah.
You win some, and you can't say you lose some. You just table that for another thing. You don't necessarily it's not about winning or losing necessarily if you all are in the same vehicle, right? If you're all
Yeah.
trying to get somewhere. If somebody wants to say, look, if we just push the gas a little bit more, we can get this there in X amount of time, do it. Again, they've been there, they've done the show, they know the pace of the show. I got into that one of the situations is I was introducing a guest actress into the family. This is a story about family, right?
Oh, that's massive.
So I was I introduced so many. This episode is so chock full of guest star. It was like I had Holly Robinson Peete guest starring as one of the aunts. Sorry, spoiler alert. I mean, I forgot to say spoiler alert, but it's already aired. Come on.
No. Yeah.
I had a legacy cast member come into my episode. And then I had a basketball player, and like a famous basketball player that was thrown on me last minute too. And so there was one scene where I was introducing a guest actress as part of the family, and it was the first time she's going to be on screen. And I was an hour and a half behind, but I was like, we need this coverage. There's 3 people in one freaking hospital room. Like, I need to shoot this where I reveal their connection and have more coverage. Then you have to do mental math where you're like, okay, so I'm an hour and a half, and I said, I'm going to make it. And I made it. I made it because I made changes, right? You start making mentally, you're like, okay, well, I can't block it this way. How do I block it this way? Am I going to be, instead of like multi-camera, can I do a steady cam? So you have a pre-viz of how you're going to shoot it. And then when you're on set, you have to be flexible and go with the flow. And because you put certain scenes as priority, you have to manage this math. It's like okay. The first AD goes, look, you're running a little long. It's like, he's like, I'm not worried yet, but if you go another 30 minutes, I might be worried. I'm like, I'm going to make it up, and this is how I'm going to make it up. And as long as you have a plan, as long as you know how to get out of the hole that you dug yourself in and still wrap everybody on time, because that's what's important. They don't want to do no overtime. And you don't want to be that first, sorry, but you don't want to be that director. It's like, you made us stay for this, because I've also been on the receiving end of it, right? Me and Jazz have been on set like, we're staying for this because you wanted to shoot this insert 17 times, like, no insert is worth 17 takes. That's what I'm saying. It's like you have to really, it's about facilitating time, resources, energy. You facilitate your energy because, of course, you're going to be always up. So you have to eat. Like, simple stuff like that. Like, force yourself to go take a walk. It's like in between takes. Like, where's the director? I was like, some directors are like, okay, I have to go 10-1. But like, sometimes you just have to like, okay, I have to just walk here for a corner for a second. Nobody talk to me for 5 minutes. I just got to think about stuff, and then I'll be right back. So you have to self-manage that. People are, yes, looking out for you, but also not looking out for you. People are there to do a craft and go home. Being aware that people are there to do their craft and go home.
Yeah. So let's move over to post-production, right? So now you've shot the stuff. Now you're visually seeing it. I know with TV, right? You have your director's cut, and then they also have what, like a producer's cut or showrunner's cut, or what has it?
I don't know anything about this. Okay, so I knew something about this because I was a script supervisor, but not enough. Because again, as a script supervisor, I'm a crew member, so it's not like I'm in charge of anything.
You don't see everything. You see your part.
Every now and then, I'll go to the editor's bay every now and then, but no, not really, because if you're on set, you're on set. But post is so fun. Everything about directing is fun. Everybody should do it.
Not me, everyone else.
And 10 years from now,
producer. I am fun. I am more than just hearing you doing the mental gymnastics of this job. I am stressed.
I am not excited.
Listen, it's no harder than being a mom. I'm just saying. Anyway.
Oh,
true. And she's got 2 of the kids. So.
Yeah, I know. Like, what? What are you?
So you're fine.
What?
A lot of
You're totally fine. So the first thing that I saw when they got a cut, my heart is beating as I'm reliving this moment, by the way. You get, after you say, okay, it's a wrap, yeah, bye, Rochelle. So that was Monday. Tuesday, I actually had to add another day because I had to wrap out a whole house and bring my whole family back. Wednesday, I get home. Thursday, Friday. Okay, so, and then after I wrap, the editors have 4 days to do their assembly, what's called an assembly. And this editor I've worked with as a script supervisor before, and I said, this is just, yeah, I know. He did a great job.
It's so great.
Thanks, Luis Bravo. I love you. So
what does this assembly contain? Like, what does that mean?
So because they're editors of the show, they know what the show looks like. So they're taking all the stuff that you shot and everything that they did, and they put it into an assembly, right? It's going to be their interpretation of based on what they know the show wants, right? So you
and when they do that too, they have the script supervisor's notes. Yes. When you, as a director, you have the takes, you say like, check that, meaning that, and then that script supervisor checks it, meaning like that take specifically is something that's approved, quote unquote, approved by the director, like a favorite, right?
But
like,
because as a favorite, but because in the age of, and I think I touched upon this a little bit when I did my Script Supervisor podcast, is that because it's digital these days, they can look at everything. But back in the days of film where you're like, only print 3 and 4, it takes 3 and 4. Now they're like, yeah, circle 3 and 4, but like, we're going to look at everything. You know what I'm saying? So the editor and the assistant editor, they work through the footage, they'll do the assembly, and then I'll look at it. And then I'll go, is that it? Because I felt like we lived through like a month of shooting this. And it's just, it boils down to an hour. That's it, baby. That's all you got. You got 8 days to shoot it. You got an hour of footage. You know what I mean? That's always the wildest thing to me. It's like,
yeah.
Oh, wow. That's gone. Like, that's right. That's right. We shot that and that and that. Okay. So because of that very first, again, like I said, you go back to the very first time you read the script and what your interpretations are, what you visually in your mind. And then as you shoot, you're logging in your mentally, okay, this is what I'm going to use that. I'm going to do this, right? When you get the assembly, and they're only using the takes that the editors, they have an interpretation of the art too. Like art is, it's their interpretation. And they, again, have cut how many episodes. So this has the flavor of what the network and the bosses look like. And then you come in after 4 days, you watch it together, or you watch it by yourself, and you go, you have 4 days. I have 4 days. So the editors get a cut, an assembly, and then I have 4 days of post, 4 days. And I sit there, and after the first watch, there were certain things that was like, oh man, I should have gotten that. Always. It's always, hindsight is always 20/20. You know what I mean? There's always things you go, I should have gotten that better, or I should have gotten another take of this. But, oh well, it's fine. Then I do the cut. Then I make a note of each time code that I want a change. I go through the entire cut. I watch it multiple times. I watch it with music. I watch it with this. I add music. I do this. So after the first day, I watch it. And over the weekend, I send my notes. They take an entire day to do the changes. Then it kind of looks like the episode I want to see, right? Then we fine tune. Then I go, can you use this music? Can you do this with this music? Can you do this cut with this? Can you do, instead of jumping to here, can I do this other lower anger? Did we have a take where he was not holding that? Then you start talking to him about like per scene. Then we get through act 1. I get a 2, 3, 4. And then at the end of day 4, we submitted it. And I'm like, okay, I'm happy with that. You happy? He's like, I'm happy. I think it's good. I was like, I think it's good too. And then we'll see what happens. So that was my director's cut. I think I was a minute over or something like that. And then you don't hear anything. And then I get the producer's cut. And now here's the thing. the producers know things that are going to happen without you knowing, right? So there are things that I thought I shot the script, which I did, but the script changes because there are unforeseeable to me, but there are circumstances in the future now warrant some changes in this cut.
Yep.
Right? And I think that was the biggest heartbreak of it all. I was like, I've been married for so long. I haven't had to deal with a heartbreak in such a long time. I mean, it was like I was literally, I was like moping around all day. I was like doom scrolling. I was on the bed. I was just like by myself. My husband just like left me alone. I'm just like so depressed. I was like literally, because I thought I shot the story. And by the way, this is from me knowing that I know that there are things that they cut because there's probably something in the end that I don't see. Even though I knew that truth, it sucked anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like the feeling was still there. And so after I got rid of those feelings, I had talked to my husband about it, and he was like, yeah, there's certain things, and we talked about the possible why there was, and I was like, okay. And then after that, they had a network, that cut, the producer's cut, went to Studio Network, and I didn't see it I saw the producer's cut before the end of the year. I didn't see it again until it aired on April 3rd.
So wait, so the producer's cut, you saw the producer's cut, and then that went to the network, and the network gets a cut, but you don't see what the network cuts until it airs.
No, and I feel like maybe I could have asked. Like, I'm sure they would have said sure, but like it wasn't offered to me. Like, they sent me the producer's cut, so I was like, okay, I can at least look at it. But they didn't send me the Studio Network cut, so I just assumed that that's past my job description. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I didn't ask.
On the next episode that we have you on, when you're on your second episode of television, we'll find that out.
Yeah.
Yes, if that's allowed.
Yeah.
So are you able, like, once you get that producer's cut, or maybe you don't know this yet, but are you able, like, to really fight for something? Like, are you able to be like,
I don't know, because I didn't. Because I feel like
all right, stay tuned, guys. Season 6.
I didn't. I feel like it was job over at that point. Like, I gave you my director's cut and you made some changes because you're the bosses. Like, what
yeah.
to the bosses? It's not like there's some random people. They're the bosses. They were the literal ones who hired me. They're like, if they made some changes, there's reasons why they made changes, right?
Yeah.
So, so, I mean, there was one day where we're like, oh my gosh, this day, we're not going to be able to make this day. And my producer's like, well, okay, let me see what I can cut. I mean, because he's the boss, he can do that. So I assume it's the same thing. It's like, okay, well, the boss has cut certain things out. And I'm like, all right, well, they might like certain things. But I have to be grateful. I have to tell you, I'm really grateful, because that was like, that's 80% or 85% me. There's certain flavor things that they changed. Maybe there's certain things that they wanted to land a little bit differently, but most of that is me. That's my interpretation, and so I consider that, again, it's just so fortunate to have this opportunity anyway. And so I know that the bosses, it's important to know that everybody is working as a craft. So this is their baby. I'm taking care of their baby, but this is their baby. So there are things that they're going to do to make sure that baby grows up and does many more episodes. So what am I going to say? I don't agree right now. And even so, I mean, I guess I could have asked or whatever, but I thought that was the changes that they made, that it was to stories that, this is how they want the ending house to look like. And so I didn't ask. And then after that, that was the one they sent to Studio Network, and then didn't see the Studio Network after that. And then because people forget that directors are also hired hands. It's not like your crew. But we're hired hands too.
So just like a curiosity's sake, did you feel like the producer's cut was much different from the network cut, or did it feel kind of just tweaks here and there?
You know what? It's not much. It's not the much different part, right? Because like I said, this is it's the house, right?
Yeah.
It's because they chose blue paint instead of the wallpaper I put up. But I really like my wallpaper. You understand?
Yeah.
No, I really like my wallpaper. But then they chose paint because it's more permanent or whatever the choices are, right? That's what happens to art, right? Everybody, that's why I said each of these artisans, these craftspeople that join you on the set and in post-production and construction, all this stuff, they care about this thing too. So not even as close as how much the showrunner cares about this thing, because he's the actual, he's the architect, you know what I mean? They're the architects of this house. And so was I disappointed? Yeah, because of course you put your spin on it and like, look, that blue paint ain't happening. I mean, that wallpaper's not happening, man. I know you like parrots and tropical stuff in your wallpaper. It's a little bit too much for this house, so we're gonna paint it blue. So it's just stuff like that. I mean, because the performances were there. I was very happy with the performances. I'm happy with the way they shot it. There's certain things that are like they solved, where like I didn't know how to solve this particular tricky scene. There's certain things they added. There's some ADR stuff that they added that clarifies certain things. There's some music stuff, and there's some, but
just the polish then.
Yeah, and they crafted. There's spoiler. I don't know how else to say that, but there's again, due to unforeseen future episode realities that I don't know, there are certain story things that they modified to reflect those future realities that I don't know, and I am not privy to, and will not be privy to. And so when I saw that episode, but when I saw that episode and I joined, we did a watch party with the Mosses at their family house in Bellflower with all of their family, and we all watched it together. And I haven't seen it since December. I have to say I was really proud of that project. We did a great job.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So just to wrap things up, after this full experience that you had, going through everything, what would you say, or who would you say, like, brought you the most support to push yourself through this project? And it can be, materials that you used or the research that you did, or, a person that was like your right-hand person. What is it that you think gave you the most support on this first journey of directing an episode for you?
I have to give all of the props to my husband because I'm a mom, and I
had a feeling you'd say that.
The mom thing is real. And like I carted the whole family.
No, I mean your husband. Yeah. Like being your support system.
I had to cart my whole family up to, because I was not gonna do good if the baby was here and my husband was here, and I'm just thinking, no. At least when I come home, they're gonna be there. It's like, so they were up there for 3 weeks. I was there for a month, and they were up there for 3 weeks. That was the longest I ever left my child. A week was the longest I've ever left my child, and I thought I was gonna die, but I didn't, because I knew I was supposed to do this job. I was selected to do this job. I love this job, and I get to do all of these things with these, again, great artisans. I was placed in this position. I'm gonna do a kick butt job of it, but without my husband, I don't know, because he was holding the fort down while I was there. And of course, on the production side, that's my all life side. But on the production side, it really helped me to have that, again, my showrunner had my back and I had his. He knew that I was going to shoot his story. And I know I want to do a good job. He knew I wanted to do a good job for him, but he also was there to be a sounding board. If there was, I didn't have to do, the great thing about when your big boss is there, sorry about the little bosses, but yeah, there are little bosses, is you don't have to ask for freaking confirmation. You're like, I'm thinking of doing this. Do it. That's the big boss. There's no middleman. You can just go straight. Like, I don't know about this. I said, like, I don't know about this pink sweater. Well, this other person's already this. Okay, that's right. Because there's so many things you're thinking about every day. You have a meeting. Every day you're thinking about certain things. And there's going to be things that fall down the crack. And to have, again, rely on your team, but to have that person there to help me, like, say, okay, well, this is going to happen. I don't really know how to navigate. I'm going to shoot it this way. Okay. Okay, that's a good idea. Like anything, even to have just that person to be like, okay, you're headed in the right direction, or you're like not headed in the right direction, or you're like, you don't want to shoot an insert, and it makes you shoot an insert.
I think that's so important to frame it the way you're saying too, because initially when you said it, saying that you were like more relaxed with the big bosses on set, I'm like, wait, that sounds terrifying. But like you were saying, it can move smoother. The red tape can be cut through much faster.
100%.
And so that's a good mindset to have if like your big boss is coming to set, to not immediately be like fear. They're just watching me just because it's my first time. It's like, no, they're actually, this could be super helpful.
Yeah. And they're it's like the last, it's like, if they like it, I love it. If I love it, I love it because I love their story. That's the thing, is that the most important thing about this whole thing, yes, the sports and all stuff, you really have to love the story. And I loved my story. My story, when I read that script, I was like moved. I was like, I thought it was a brilliant script. I thought it was great. It just great little, just the words and it was just great. The Mossas did a great job, and that's why their episode was on air, and they did a wonderful job, and we texted each other every day, and that kind of like rapport and support system, and being able to be like, again, acknowledging that we were all here to do a craft, do it really, really well, and each one of us has a strength to put in here because of our previous background. Because I'm a first timer, but I'm not a first timer. That's the thing too. It's like, I'm a first timer. Okay, this is my first time. My name is called director. First time they said Richelle,
first timer with years of experience.
Yeah, it's like overnight success.
Yes. It's only overnight because someone that night said yes, but everything else you've been working towards.
Exactly. And that's first timer with years of success it's the best description. It's the whole thing is, I think, very on theme with what you guys are saying, which is like overnight success is, that's it. You have years of experience before you become that overnight success. Before they even hear your name, they worked on how many productions, under how many directors, I've shot how many episodes of television. I don't even remember. But that formed what I knew I liked, and I didn't know how to articulate it, but that was forming my directing lens. That was forming what kind of director was I going to be. Because I come from the crew side, what do I want? I want a director who wrapped me early so I can see my family. Hello? Yeah. Can we accomplish that? Send people home early and still do the work and still make the bosses happy and proud?
Yeah.
Yes.
And make a kick-ass episode of television,
and hopefully make a kick-ass show. And I really loved my episode. I mean, it was so fun, and I mean, it was just the funnest. And you know what, this is not without saying that the cast was they're just a dream. They are wonderful human beings, and it starts from the top. Sonequa and Donnie are like one of the best number one, number twos duos, and they're so gracious, and everybody knows on set when you're a first timer. They can smell fresh blood. I mean, everybody. We all do. Justin, you know what I'm saying? We've been on set. We're like, oh yeah, that person's first timer. Everybody knows. But it's like, did you enjoy that first time, or did you hate that first time? And I really loved it. And it's not without saying it, because it starts from the top. Our producers are freaking amazing. Our writers are amazing. Our cast is amazing. And then the production was really great, is amazing. And, and you did that with all of those different artisans, and you put your spin on it. I facilitated things, and I'm really, really, really proud of what we did. I wish it was shot in America, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, win some, you lose some.
Sorry. I mean, I'm just saying.
As an LA-based person, wish it was in LA, but
yeah,
all right,
exactly.
We got to wrap up.
Okay,
but before we do, because we know the power of manifestation, because the last time you were on this podcast, you were on a direct, and now you're here. What are we manifesting next? Obviously, man. I think it's fair to say another episode of television, whichever episode that may, series that may be.
Yes.
Maybe hopefully one in LA, right?
That would be wonderful, but I'll go anywhere.
What are you thinking?
I will go anywhere just to get another episode. It's just like I said, if you you put your foot in the water and you're just like, this is, you feel like all of it again. First timer with years of experience, all of that training, just like, oh, this feels good. Like it feels right in your body. When it feels right in your body, you're like, you don't feel like, they asked me if I was nervous. I was like, first of all, I'm a 40-year-old woman and I'm a firstborn child. I'm not nervous. I'm just kidding. No, but I'm, but also I've been on set before. I've done this 1,000 times. I've done this 1,000 times. So
you're building the house, making it a home.
Right. And so
you were home.
It literally felt good in my body. So I'm praying, I'm hoping, I'm believing for more episodes. And not to say I'm not going to script supervise. I just did a commercial yesterday and I had so much fun. By the way, it was my first job since December. Oh my God. Never mind. And but I love being on set. And I think what it boils down to is you love working together. And so if we can have more of that, I would love to direct. I'll direct anywhere. But I would love to have just more jobs for everybody, really. That's what I'm praying and hoping for. I want you to get your feature done. I want to be on set for that.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
Listen, next time you're also on another episode, if you need a guest star, Mo's available. Just saying.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Right. I didn't touch on casting, but like that was the hardest one because it's like you got all these amazing actors and you're just like, okay, well, we can't afford to pay someone to
Would you ever so like what would it be like if you cast Kirk, your husband?
I'm hoping to
one day.
I'm putting the feelings in the air. You know what I'm saying? Just putting the feelings and the talking.
And listen, when that happens, I'm available to babysit.
Yay!
For you.
No, just come visit.
I'll come out as your personal assistant and just babysit the kiddo.
Oh yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah,
I want you to come and visit, and not babysit. Just come visit set.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
That would be great. We'll do oh my gosh, can you imagine? You're just like a live Get Set podcast on the set of. Come on, man, we gotta just say it out loud.
That'd be gosh! I love your dreaming.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
Love it all. Well, everyone needs to go check out your episode and everyone needs to go listen to your first episode on the Get Set podcast because everything you talked about with script supervising informed all of this so much. Yeah. And thank you so much for being here and coming back.
Love it. And you can follow Richelle on Instagram at Director Richelle, which is new Instagram.
I know. Instagram.
It's a new place to follow her.
Handle before.
No, it's not.
I'm gonna add that.
Yeah, check her out and check out her work on www.scriptsbystella.com, which we didn't delve into, but that'll be a next time. And be sure to watch her episode of Boston Blue, episode 13, season 1, episode 13.
Yes.
It's entitled Beautiful Broken Things, now streaming on Paramount Plus. And by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, because I don't have Paramount Plus, I don't have like cable or anything. If you go on to CBS's website, you can watch it on their website. It comes with commercials, but it's for free. Anyone can watch it on the website. You don't need any type of like service or anything like that. I think for most cable, for most cable networks, they have their episodes at least for a limited time. It's like they only do like 5 weeks at a time, like from whenever it airs onward. So go watch it on the website if you don't have any of those things because it's available. So anyways, thank you so much, Richelle. We're so happy to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks so much.
Love it.
Absolutely. Now, everyone, go get set.
The Get Set podcast is created, edited, and produced by Jessica Payne and Monique Schwaneman of Old Girls Entertainment. Original music composed by the incredibly talented Kyle Hall. You can follow him on his social media at Kyle Hall Music.
If you vibed with this episode and our mission of bringing to light different career paths within an industry, especially for women, subscribe, leave a review, and share us with a friend. Thanks, friend.